December 24th. That date alone is stopping a lot of people in their tracks right now. And if you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or survivor benefits, before we go any deeper, take a moment to hit subscribe and share this update so you don't miss daily changes and it reaches others who truly need this information. Because many people are hearing something that sounds almost too good to be true, that money could be landing in accounts right before Christmas. Some folks are waking up, checking their bank balance, checking again, calling a spouse or adult child and saying, "Did you hear we might get paid early this year?" Others feel confused, nervous, or frustrated because every source seems to say something different. One person says yes, another says no. Social media says one thing, videos say another, and the Social Security Administration website doesn't always explain it in plain language. So let's slow this down and get very clear. In simple terms, December 24th is appearing as a pay-related date for some people this year, but not for everyone. And the reason has nothing to do with a bonus, nothing to do with a special Christmas payment, and nothing to do with a secret increase. It has everything to do with how the calendar falls, how federal holidays work, and how Social Security is legally required to move payments when banks are closed. This matters because December is already the most stressful month of the year for people living on a fixed income. Grocery costs rise, heating bills jump, travel expenses increase, grandchildren expect gifts, and even a 1 or 2 day shift in a deposit can make the difference between calm and panic. So if you're wondering whether money is coming before Christmas, whether bills can be paid on time, or whether you're missing something important, you're not alone. Here's the first thing you need to know. Social Security does not randomly send payments early, ever. The agency follows a strict schedule set by federal law. But when a scheduled payment date lands on a weekend or a federal banking holiday, Social Security is required to move that payment to the previous business day. Christmas Day is a federal holiday. Banks are closed. Federal offices are closed. No direct deposits are processed that day. So when a payment would normally fall around Christmas, it must be adjusted. That adjustment is what's creating all the noise around December 24th. Now, let's talk about why this feels bigger than usual this year. Christmas falls in the middle of the week, which forces more schedule shifts than when it lands on a weekend. On top of that, many banks and credit unions release funds 1 or 2 days early as a customer service practice. That means two people receiving the same benefit from the same program can see deposits on different days depending on where they bank. That's why one neighbor may say they got paid early, while another hasn't yet. This is where confusion starts to spiral. Some people see a deposit on December 22nd or 23rd and assume it's a special Christmas payment. Others see December 24th mentioned online and think everyone is getting paid that day. Then there are people who see nothing at all and worry something is wrong. None of those reactions mean you've been forgotten or skipped. It simply means the system is applying holiday rules that aren't always explained clearly. So who does December 24th actually apply to? That's the question everyone wants answered. But before we break that down, it's important to understand that not all Social Security payments follow the same schedule. Retirement benefits, disability benefits, survivor benefits, and SSI are all handled differently. Even within retirement benefits, payment dates depend on when you started receiving benefits and sometimes your birth date. That's why two retirees can sit at the same kitchen table and still get paid on different days. Another critical point that needs to be said clearly right now. If money arrives before Christmas, that does not mean you are getting extra money. It is not a bonus. It is not a double payment. In many cases, it is January's money being paid early because of the holiday schedule. That can feel like good news in December, but it means January can feel longer if you don't plan for it. We'll come back to that because this is where people sometimes get caught short later in the month. Right now, the goal is clarity. December 24th is not a universal Social Security payday. It is not something the SSA announced as a special event. It is simply a date that appears because certain payments are shifted when Christmas interferes with normal processing. Some people will see deposits before Christmas Eve. Some will see them on Christmas Eve. Others will see nothing until after Christmas, exactly as scheduled. All of those scenarios can be correct at the same time. Another factor adding stress is that December is also when cost of living adjustments show up, Medicare premiums change, and deductions can shift. So even when money arrives on time, the amount may look slightly different. That alone causes thousands of calls to Social Security every December. Offices are busy, hold times are long, and answers aren't always quick. If you're thinking, I just want to know if my money is coming and when, that's completely fair. You earn these benefits. You budget around them. You shouldn't have to guess. That's why it's important to understand your specific payment group and how holidays affect that group. Now, let's move into the part that really matters to your bank account: who actually gets paid before Christmas and who does not. We'll start with SSI, because SSI follows a completely different rulebook. If you receive supplemental security income, your payment is normally scheduled for the first of the month, but when the first falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, SSI is paid on the last business day of the previous month. January 1st is a federal holiday. Banks are closed, so January's SSI payment cannot be issued on January 1st. By law, it must be moved earlier. That means many SSI recipients will receive their January payment before Christmas. In practical terms, that often shows up on December 24th or earlier depending on your bank. For individuals, this amount is typically around the $900 range, higher for couples. This is not extra money. It is January's payment arriving early. That's why SSI recipients are the group most likely to see money before Christmas, and also why January can feel confusing if you're not expecting a gap. Now let's talk about Social Security retirement, disability, and survivor benefits. These are usually paid on a Wednesday schedule. If your birthday falls between the 1st and 10th, you're paid the second Wednesday. Between the 11th and 20th, the third Wednesday. Between the 21st and 31st, the fourth Wednesday. In December, the fourth Wednesday lands very close to Christmas. When a payment date falls on a holiday, it's issued the business day before. Christmas Day is the holiday. Christmas Eve is not, but banks may have limited hours or release deposits early. So if your payment is scheduled for December 24th, the SSA sends it according to the rules. Whether you see it on the 24th, the 23rd, or the 22nd depends entirely on your bank. That's why some people say they were paid early while others haven't seen anything yet, even though they're in the same payment group. It's not favoritism, it's banking policy. There's another group to mention: people who started receiving benefits before May 1997 or who receive both SSI and Social Security are often paid on a fixed date early in the month. For them, December payments usually stay on schedule. There's no Christmas-related shift because their date doesn't land on the holiday. If you're in that group and don't see money before Christmas, it doesn't mean anything is wrong. Here's an important clarification. If you see 2 deposits in December, that does not mean double payment. For example, SSI recipients may receive a December payment early in the month and January's payment near the end. That's the calendar, not extra money. Another source of confusion is early deposit marketing by banks. When a bank says it posts payments early, that's the bank releasing funds before the official settlement date. Social Security did not change the schedule. The key takeaway is this: December 24th is a real payment date for some beneficiaries due to normal scheduling and holiday rules. SSI recipients are especially likely to see money early. Retirement, disability, and survivor beneficiaries may also see early deposits depending on their Wednesday and their bank. If you don't see money before Christmas, that usually means your payment already came earlier or is scheduled after Christmas as normal. Now, let's talk about what December really feels like. Even when money arrives on time, this month stretches budgets. Groceries rise, heating bills climb, prescriptions don't get cheaper, emotional pressure builds. Small expenses add up fast when every dollar already has a job. This is also when people notice changes in their deposit amount. COLA increases raise the gross benefit, but Medicare Part B premiums and other deductions come out afterward. That's why an increase doesn't always feel like one. In some cases, the net amount can even look smaller. If your payment doesn't arrive when expected, don't panic. Wait 3 business days after the scheduled date. Check with your bank first. If nothing is pending, then contact Social Security. Hold times are long in December, but most issues have explanations and are fixable. Finally, remember this: December feels chaotic, but most payment issues aren't personal, permanent, or unfixable. Understanding the rules puts you back in control, and once you know where you fall, the stress level drops fast. That's why staying informed matters. And as we head into the new year, protecting the money you do have is just as important as watching for what's coming next.